So I want to start with you, Representative Fine. Your reaction to this news that the deputies were told not to enter the building without body cams, which they lacked at the time. Your reaction?
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me on. Look, the more we learn about this situation, the more obvious it is that Sheriff Israel needs to resign or be removed immediately. That's why I signed that letter, and that's why the Florida House is moving this week to subpoena all records of Sheriff Israel, and we're going to be subpoenaing him and making him come up to Tallahassee to explain himself. What happened is a disgrace.
Mark, I want to go to you on this. The report that we got tonight that some of these radio communications are missing or weren't recorded, which I think are very important, are going to be critical as we try to determine what really happened in the aftermath here. What's your reaction to what we've learned, frankly, just today and tonight?
Well, it's pretty shocking that one, it even occurred, and then two, that you were able to find out any of this information. But what's interesting is Sheriff Israel is a character. He is a politician. Let's not forget that. But it really has nothing to do with the actions of the deputies at the scene. I don't care if they had radios. I don't care if they were on or off. They should have done exactly what they knew they had to do, regardless of who told them what to do over a radio. You ignore that, and you go in and you try to save the lives of those children, and you contact the shooter and kill him.
Terry, let's go to you. We're also learning that in the training of some of these police officers, they were taught a kind of deconflict the situation. So don't rush in, assess the situation first. And Scott Peterson's attorney is also kind of indicating that in some of his comments. We tried to get him on the show tonight. He would not join us, which is unfortunate. But if the police are being trained in a way that is not really helpful in this type of active shooter situation, that also is something we better find out fast.
Laura, that's against any protocol that I've been aware of since Columbine. All officers that I'm aware of are always taught to go in, don't be stupid, but go in tactically, but go in, protect the innocents there. If they're being trained that way, I don't know why they would be trained that way.
Well, one of the reports we also heard, Rep. Fine, is that the deputy on site thought that apparently some of the shooting was taking place outside the building because, again, radio transmission that I think we may or may not have indicated that someone was injured on or near the football field. And so that's one of the reasons he stayed behind this cement barrier or car, and was just 4 minutes went by and people were being shot one after the other in this building. So maybe it was just an honest mistake. I mean, I don't know, but it seems like we should have a lot of this video already publicly available.
Yeah, and if Sheriff Israel wasn't so busy bloviating on CNN town halls, we might have some of those answers. That's why Speaker Corcoran has asked us all to support him in getting Sheriff Israel either to resign or to be removed. That should happen immediately.
Mark Furman, there's a sound bite that I thought of you when I heard this yesterday. I know you know which one it is, but I'll just read it. I don't think we have it ready. But Jake Tapper basically asked him about the Broward County Sheriff's reaction and whether they had done things differently, would the shooting have happened or not. And Sheriff Israel says, listen, ifs and buts were candy and nuts, O.J. Simpson would still be in the record books. And Tapper's like, I don't know what that means. There's 17 people dead and a long list of things you could have done differently. So he has this kind of glib way of responding to questions, and I think you hit the nail on the head. He's more of a politician than someone to head the largest police department, county police department in the country of its type of stature, apparently. I didn't realize that it's the largest police department in the country. I don't even understand how it can be with New York and so forth, but of its type, I guess it's the largest.
Well, Laura, he seems awful impressed with himself, very flippant, almost like he doesn't see the gravity of exactly what happened, like it's an opportunity for somebody to know his first, last name and all of his career. But when he had to actually give up this information on the deputy that was sitting outside of that building number 12 listening to those gunshots. And I'm going to tell you right now, They knew full well that that shooting was going on inside of that building. And I will guarantee something for Deputy Peterson or ex-Deputy Peterson. He will relive that 4 minutes outside of that building for the rest of his life.
Oh, that's for sure. Let's go to Terry on this. Speaking of the need for a real thorough investigation that's not tainted or questioned, could the FBI, or could the Justice Department, I should say, could they conduct a real investigation here, given the fact that the FBI clearly dropped the ball on these, on at least 2 of these tips, and the most recent one was really disturbing, involving Mrs. Deschamps, who was the woman who actually had him living in her house. So could the Justice Department really do this investigation?
I believe they can, Laura, but the fundamental problem here is the FBI has dropped the ball for the last several years. As I've mentioned to a number of my colleagues, and we've commented to each other on, the FBI no longer communicates with the community. When you contact the FBI anymore, even myself as a retired FBI agent, when I call the FBI office I used to work at, I get a recording. I don't speak to a human being. When I was an FBI agent, we answered the phone. We talked to the people in the community. We were there to provide safety to that community, and in order to do that, you have to be able to communicate with them. They have to be able to speak with you as an agent, a trained agent, not an analyst, not an intake specialist, but a special agent of the FBI. The FBI has tried to centralize all of their activity for so long now, they've lost touch with the communities that we're supposed to be providing safety to. That's the fundamental issue. Whether DOJ can investigate that and come up with a conclusion, I'm certain they can. But the FBI needs to look within itself, and it needs to start providing the services to the community.
Yeah, got a lot of problem. When law enforcement is finding out that this 19-year-old was obsessed with ISIS, had come into $25,000 buying all these guns, and had talked about shooting up a school and ripping animals apart. I mean, ding, 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 like, you know, all the warning bells are kind of going off there. I mean, I'm not an expert like you guys in this, but I mean, I guess in hindsight, you know, you have 20/20 hindsight here, but to me, this is just, Laura, this is a wild situation. Why don't you wrap it up?
Look, you know, when the FBI got that tip on Nicholas Cruz, spelled a very specific way, that he was a possible school shooter, all that FBI agent had to do is go to a federal database for gun registration and just find out if a Nicholas Cruz had purchased any weapons. Lo and behold, it would have popped up. He just bought an AR-15. He's in Parkland, Florida. Go door knock it.
Fantastic. Guys, we appreciate a great panel. And by the way, President Trump had really harsh words today.